You pull in solid money every month. Good job, decent title, the kind of income that should mean something. And yet, on a random Tuesday night, they're sitting on the edge of their bed staring at a banking app, watching a number that somehow never grows. They did everything they were told to do, went to school, got the degree, landed the career. Why does their checking account look like it belongs to someone earning half as much? Here is the part nobody wants to hear. The problem was never the paycheck. Almost everything you were taught about handling money is a carefully packaged lie. And the scariest part is, you believed it so deeply that you built your entire financial life on top of it. Think about the last time you financed something. Maybe it was furniture for the apartment. Maybe a new phone because the old one felt slow. Maybe you upgraded your car because you got a raise, and you figured you earned it. In that moment, it felt responsible. It felt normal. Everyone around you was doing the exact same thing. But zoom out for a second and look at what actually happened. You borrowed money to own something that was worth less the moment you swiped. You paid interest on a depreciating object. You turned future income into past purchases and you called it being smart. Now multiply that across every year of your adult life. Every couch on a payment plan. Every vacation charged to a card you would pay off next month. Every time you told yourself a little debt is fine. Because that is just how the world works. That is not how the world works. That is how the world traps you. You want to know why some people quietly stack wealth, while others grind for decades and end up with almost nothing. It is not income. It is not luck. It is not even discipline. At least not the way you think about discipline. The people who keep money understood something early on that the rest of us had to learn the hard way. Almost every financial instinct you picked up from your parents, your friends, your culture, the ads on your phone, all of it was designed to keep you spending. To keep you spending, not saving. And that is exactly where we need to start. Because before I walk you through the rules that actually work, you need to see the ones you've been following, the ones that were broken from the very beginning. Here is a number that should make you uncomfortable. Take someone pulling in $100,000 a year. After taxes, that is roughly $6,500 a month hitting their account. It sounds like plenty of money. Now watch what happens to every single dollar. Before that person even gets to enjoy it, they buy a house, not a mansion. Just a nice place in a decent neighborhood. Mortgage, property tax, insurance, that is $2,400 a month, easy. They haven't even turned the lights on yet. Now they walk into that empty house and think, well, we need furniture, a couch, a dining set, a bed frame, nightstands. They finance it because who has $8,000 just sitting around for furniture? That is another $200 a month for the next 4 years on something that loses value the second it crosses the front door. So we're at $2,600 a month just on the box they sleep in. And the stuff inside it out of $6,500, that is 40% of their take-home gone. Before they eat a single meal. Now add the car, add groceries, utilities, the phone bill. You're looking at maybe $800 left at the end of the month. And that is if nothing breaks. No flat tire, no emergency room visit, no busted water heater. But here is where it turns ugly. A wedding comes along. The average runs over $30,000. They don't have $30,000, so it goes on credit. At 20% interest, that $30,000 quietly becomes $36,000 over 3 years. $6,000 in pure interest for a single Saturday afternoon. Not a plate of food, not a flower arrangement. Just the privilege of not having the cash. Or picture the vacation, they deserve it. 2 weeks at a resort, Flights, hotels, dinners out. $5,000 on a credit card. They come home with a 10 and a balance that follows them for 18 months. Now zoom out, this person earns $100,000 a year. That is real money. That puts them ahead of most households in the country. If you ask them to cover a $2,000 emergency tomorrow, they'd scramble. They'd borrow, they'd reach for plastic. Not because they don't earn enough, but because every dollar had somewhere to go before it even arrived. The house took its cut, the furniture took its cut, the wedding took its cut, the vacation took its cut. And what was left for the person who actually earned all of it? Almost nothing. And the cruel part is none of it moved the needle on their actual life. The oversized house has rooms they never walk into. The finance couch looks the same as one at a third of the price. The $30,000 wedding didn't make the marriage any stronger than a $5,000 one would have. The resort faded from memory in 2 weeks, but the statement stuck around for a year and a half. That is not a spending problem dressed up as a lifestyle. That is a math problem hiding in plain sight. And nobody catches it because nobody sits down and actually runs the numbers on their own life. They feel broke and blame the salary, when the real answer is sitting in their living room, parked in their driveway, and framed in a wedding photo on the wall. So here is the part nobody talks about. Every single thing sitting in your garage, pinging your phone with a subscription renewal, or auto-drafting from your checking account on the first of the month. It belongs to a system that someone else owns. Not you. You're not the customer here. You're the revenue stream. Think about it from the other side of the table for a second. Picture the person who owns the dealership where you just drove off in that brand new car. The moment your tires hit the public road, that vehicle lost somewhere around half its value. Half. You felt a rush of pride. They felt a deposit clear. You took on a 5-year payment. They took your signature and turned it into a guaranteed income line on their books. The bank holding your auto loan is earning interest on money you haven't even made yet. The insurance company covering that shiny new asset priced your premium based on a replacement cost you'll never recover. 3 separate entities are now feeding off one decision. A decision you made in about 45 minutes on a Saturday afternoon. And that is just the car. You've got streaming services renewing every month that you forgot you signed up for. A grocery bill that somehow crept from $200 a week to $500. And you can't even point to the moment it happened. A gym membership you haven't touched since February. Every one of those charges is a tiny pipe running from your account, straight into someone else's quarterly earnings report. Individually, they look like nothing. Over 6 months, they add up to a second rent payment. A payment you've been making to companies that will never know your name. Nobody who profits from your spending is ever going to tell you to stop. The culture around you, the ads, the social comparison, the idea that a new car or a decorated house signals you've made it. All of that is architecture. It is built on purpose by people who sit on the receiving end of your transactions, not the paying end. So when you hear someone say, buy a used car, or check your expenses twice a year, that is not a budgeting tip. That is someone telling you to look at the pipes. Trace where your money actually lands 30 days after you spend it. Because once you see that every dollar has a destination, and that destination is almost never your own pocket, you stop asking, how do I earn more? And start asking, how do I keep more from leaking? Leaking into systems I don't control. If you're feeling a little uncomfortable right now, good. That is the old story starting to crack. But knowing where the money goes is only half of it. What happens in the 72 hours before you spend it? That part changes everything. The 72-hour trick only handles the trigger. It doesn't fix the deeper wiring underneath. So here is the next tiny action, and honestly, it is even more uncomfortable. Next time you're about to buy something, anything, stop and ask yourself one question out loud. Am I buying this because I'll use it, or because I want someone to see me with it? Say it out loud, in the store, in your car, wherever it sounds ridiculous, and that is exactly why it works. The moment you hear your own voice say those words, the performance falls apart. Think about the guy pulling into a parking lot in a leased car. A car he can barely afford, checking if anyone noticed. Think about the closet stuffed with clothes that still have tags on them. Bought for a version of you that only exists in other people's heads. When you strip away the audience, most of those purchases simply stop making sense. You don't need a philosophy for this. You just need that one awkward question before you hand over your card. And once you start filtering purchases through that lens, something else clicks into place naturally. You stop accumulating and start editing. You open your closet and realize you own 30 shirts, but you reach for the same 4 every week. So here is the move. Pick one category, just one. Clothes, kitchen tools, whatever, count everything in it. Then keep only the ones you actually touched in the last 30 days, and box the rest. Don't throw them out yet, just box them. If you don't open that box in 60 days, donate it. One quality item you actually use costs less per wear, per meal, per mile. Less than 5 cheap ones collecting dust. You already know this intuitively. You just never had a mechanical rule to act on it. So here is the part nobody warns you about. There is a guy right now, probably in your city, pulling in 6 figures and he cannot sleep. His jaw is clenched at 2 in the morning because of the car payment, the renovated kitchen, the vacation he put on a credit card, to prove something to people he barely likes. All of it sits on his chest like a second body. He has more money coming in, more than most people will ever see, and he is drowning. Now, picture someone else. She earns maybe half of what he does. Her apartment is small, her car is paid off, and it has a dent in the rear bumper she never bothered fixing. She checks her bank account on Sunday mornings with a cup of coffee, and the number does not make her flinch. She has a buffer, 3 months, maybe 4. Sitting quietly in a savings account she almost never touches. That buffer is not wealth, it is oxygen. And the distance between those two people has nothing to do with income. It has everything to do with what they decided money was for. That is the real promise buried inside everything we've been talking about. Not that you will get rich. Not that some spreadsheet trick will double your net worth by December. The promise is smaller than that, and honestly, it is more valuable. You get to stop performing. You get the right to walk away from a purchase, a lifestyle, an entire identity that was only ever rented with stress. You get a survival buffer, not a fortune. Just enough room between you and disaster that your hands stop shaking when an unexpected bill shows up. The less you need money to mean something, the less of it leaks out of your life. You stop feeding the algorithm. That wants you scrolling past things you cannot afford at midnight. You stop upgrading rooms in your house to impress guests who come over twice a year. You stop treating your paycheck like a countdown timer that resets every 2 weeks. When you pull back from all of that, the money just sits there. It accumulates not because you found some secret investment, but because you stopped poking holes in the bucket. Every rule we walk through today, the debt filter, the emergency fund, The 72-hour pause, buying for function, auditing your expenses, all of it points to one exit door, and that door does not open onto a mansion. It opens onto a Tuesday morning, where you wake up and nothing is on fire. Your rent is covered. Your groceries are handled. There is a little left over, and you don't owe that leftover to anyone. That is the compound effect nobody talks about. Not compound interest on some brokerage account. Compound COM. Each month you don't overspend, the next month gets a little easier. Each purchase you skip, the muscle gets a little stronger. It is not exciting, it will never go viral, but 12 months from now you'll open your banking app and feel something most people never feel, which is just quiet. Now, everything we covered today protects the money coming in. But there is an entire other side to this. The things that silently drain your account even when you think you're being smart. Some of them will genuinely catch you off guard. Because they look like responsible purchases. That is worth paying attention to next.